I'm so glad I never have to deal with any of this. Like I promise you, I'd never be able to figure out how to do whatever the hell you're doing right now. I could never handle.
Time that we What's up, CFO gang? It's your boy Jay Tuck, and you are now tuned into the Cowboys fans only channel. So if you're new, go ahead and do me a favor, comment, like, subscribe somewhere down there, somewhere down there, somewhere down there, and be sure to turn on the notification bell to stay updated with all Dallas Cowboys content. And yo, I appreciate all the support. The Cowboys fans only store is officially back open, so everyone was buying merch last night. So cowboysfansonly.com to get your CFO merch, man. I appreciate all the support. But yo, we're getting close to draft day, right? 7 days away from draft day, and so you know, it's been a grueling process. We've been breaking down film. We've been doing mock drafts, all sorts of stuff. But I wanted to bring on a real special guest, man. And this girl, she is on fire. Like, she's one of my favorite personalities to follow on Twitter because she kind of reminds me of myself. And though, yes, she's not a Cowboys fan. She's a New York Giants fan. But she brings the heat. She knows her stuff. She's extremely sharp, man, and she doesn't back down. And you guys know I like people who do not back down. So CFO gang, I want everyone to give a warm welcome to my girl, Stephie Smalls in the house. What's going on, Stephie?
What's up? I'm so pleased to be here. It's so funny, you know? Look at two different worlds colliding here,
Yeah,
but it's okay.
two NFC East foes, they collide, man. But I think like it's not like a rivalry when it comes to us. Like we said off camera, it's like I like your personality, how you kind of handle things, and I see that you're a hard worker and you setting this blazing trail. And I think you reached like 10,000 followers on Twitter, right?
Yes, it's crazy. I'm like, I don't know. Dave just messaged me. He's like, when did you hit 10 and a half? I'm like, I don't know. I don't even like look at it. But yeah,
Right.
it happened all so fast. It's because I'm very loud and obnoxious. And that's where the following comes from,
Right.
I think so.
It's well deserved. It's well deserved. So, as promised on Twitter, I have some White Claw.
I am so impressed.
I
It's
brought
like
some
the
White-
nicest thing anyone's ever done.
So
you know what I did for you is I hid my Giants memorabilia.
There we go. Before trade. So, in honor of you, and I'm honest with you, Steph, I've never had this before in my life.
Really?
So it's gonna be the first time, but I'm gonna give it a shot. So, cheers to your
pressure.
success.
Yes, cheers to you.
Cheers.
What do you think? Too sweet?
Interesting. It's interesting.
Interesting.
But I
Okay.
think after a few, we could get there, right? And
Yeah,
so
right.
it's
If
not-
that's why I don't know. Black cherry goes down a little easier, I think, because some of them can be a little too fruity.
Right, right, a little too fruity. But hey, like I said, go ahead and tell everyone where they can find you, all your stuff. I know you're pretty much everywhere, but go ahead and let everyone know where they can find you.
Yeah, you guys can find me on Twitter at Stephie Smalls with 3 L's. I mean, you guys might even appreciate this. The 3 L's stand for Brady's 3 losses, so that's
Okay.
cool. We
All
could
right.
all enjoy that moment.
Right.
So yeah, so you can find me on Twitter. Everything that I'm doing is really on there. I'm with FTN Network now. I have my own show. My second episode came out yesterday. I think it was yesterday. Yeah. And you know, just doing my guest appearances stuff, grinding for the season. I do a lot of injury stuff during the season. It's kind of my vibe. And then fantasy betting, I'm all over the place now.
All over the place. Hard worker. That's what I appreciate. So let's go ahead and dive into a few things. So as mentioned, she is a Giants fan. But the thing about the Cowboys supporters who watch my channel, they're all cool. So it's all love, you know. If you're a guest on my channel, you're family. So I want to get your thoughts. What is your take thus far on how the Giants has handled themselves in the offseason? I know there's been a few free agency additions and Galladay getting a wide receiver. So how are you feeling right now when it comes to the Giants, where they stand?
So I feel good. We're not the Eagles, right?
Right. Cheers to that.
I think the one thing that still worries me is that offensive line. I'm still, all is great and happy-go-lucky until you remember that the offensive line is still very young, and we have your guys' nice little present you gave us, Mr. Jason Garrett. Thanks, guys.
So we gotta definitely address that. What is your thoughts on Jason Garrett?
Jason Garrett is, it's pretty shocking to me. I was not expecting him to come back. I think that the way that the Giants are moving and the way that they have, essentially hired more coaches than players, makes me feel like they are heading towards being ready to get rid of Garrett. I think Garrett is on a very, very very thin ice right now. I think he was a hire with Colombo. They kind of came in as a package deal. So he's kind of hanging on by a thread, just like, someone like Ingram is at this point. But I mean, getting him Rudolph is like the closest thing. Oh, this is so cool. It's a Cowboy that I can talk about. So Rudolph is the closest thing to Witten that Garrett's going to get. And I always joke around on my other pods, like, this guy has amnesia. Like, he thinks he's still in Dallas. So, you got to get him, the closest thing he's going to get is Rudolph. So that's cool. I still worry, but they've given him the weapon. So it's going to see if he can actually expand that playbook. I think getting Saquon back will help, but it's really that O-line that concerns me, because you can't really do much without an O-line. It's the most important thing. I love the defense, and I think we're in a good position, but I'm not going to get excited because we know what Gettleman loves to do in the draft is usually with it. And then just that O-line needs the maturity.
So speaking of the O-line, of course, that's to protect your quarterback. And I kind of know on Twitter how you stand with your quarterback.
Yeah.
But for everyone who's viewing the show, go ahead and let it, your thoughts on Daniel Jones as the quarterback for the New York Giants.
So be careful how I go about this. So this is Daniel Jones's last year to prove himself. Okay. He has right now to do it, and then I stop defending him, right? So if we get to week 4 and he's still playing like he did week 4 last year, then I have a problem. I haven't given up on him because as a Giants fan, we won Super Bowls with Eli Manning. Eli Manning was never a great quarterback. Right. Eli Manning was a great playoff quarterback for sure, and he gave me fantastic years of my childhood. Right. But you don't need to be a great quarterback to win. So I think that I think Daniel Jones has a higher ceiling than Eli Manning does, and I've said that this isn't like a new thing I'm saying on a Dallas pod, I think that the potential is there. So we'll see what he does with it. I mean, he really has no excuses, and he needs to definitely pull it together. I think hopefully Garrett can pretend like, oh God, I don't know. He really, I think he might be my least favorite thing about the Giants right now. I would love for anything. I don't care. Just get rid of him.
But now you know what the pain that us Cowboys fans have been going through for so long. And I'll say this about Jason Garrett, right? Because I saw someone was arguing with you about defending Jason. I was like, oh, actually, there's people out defending Jason Garrett. That's new.
Oh yeah.
But I'll say this: Jason Garrett, great guy. Great guy. Has intangibles. He's very smart. But for some reason, just football wise, he just doesn't motivate, right? He's not really the kind of a motivator. Right. He's very stale, very boring. And with his, offensive play calling, I feel like it's very lethargic at sometimes. What we went through, it was very predictable. We've had so many wide receivers, whether it was T.O., whether it was Dez Bryant, whether it was so many people in-house saying this offense is basic and predictable. And so I felt like, now I'll say this, when we played you guys the first game before the Dak Prescott injury, it was the most extravagant play calling I ever seen from Jason Garrett. I mean,
for the first and second quarter, right, and then you go back to the third and fourth quarter Garrett. That's what drives me crazy. Is he does show he shows up. A little bit of light. That's what's so annoying.
Yep, exactly. He tightens up, and like I said, he had the trick play, but it was a penalty that got called back. And I'm like, okay, I see what Jason Garrett's trying to do because he was trying to beat Dallas. But, for the most part, I feel like Joe Judge bringing Jason Garrett in was kind of giving him that veteran leadership from a head coach perspective to kind of bring him in-house. Yeah. But, maybe he wasn't the quality guy to be your offensive coordinator. So.
And nothing scares me more than getting to 3rd and 6 and being like, oh my God, this guy is going to just botch it right now. There's no way he has the capability of, he couldn't have possibly curl route or Ingram reversed us to death anymore. Oh, yeah. I don't know how many times I saw those plays. Oh, here we go. It's another Ingram reverse where he's going to drop it. Are you kidding? Right. So it drives me crazy. But I do think, I think that Garrett and Colombo were both Mara hires. I think that they came in kind of as a package thing. Mm-hmm. But I was pissed when that happened because I saw, you saw him in Dallas. Dallas for a very long time had no reason to not, and I just think he was prohibiting you guys for a while. Oh, right. And I would, obviously, you don't want him to come into your own system after watching him do the same crap in the NFC East, and then now, great, thanks for the present.
Right, exactly. There you go. There you go. It's now yours. So I'm gonna go ahead and hop in the chat, man. Say what's up. I see my guy Matt Owens going on, bro. Dallas Cowboys fan. Brian Simmons says, "Kill 'em, Smalls." Got my guy Gerardo in the house. My guy Mo. Everybody. My guy BJ Nick Star Gang. What's going on? Let's see. Wesley Kemp. Let's see here. Got a lot of people. NFC East. John May, Daniel Jones is your quarterback. Laughing.
Yeah, he sucks. I know. I saw it.
And let's see. So what was your thoughts when you actually drafted Daniel Jones? Were you excited? Were you kind of mad? Because I saw there was a conversation today on Twitter. You kind of just expected.
It was, yeah. I think a lot of the times the thing with Giants fan is they're very unrealistic. Like,
right.
To be entirely shocked by that pick with the ties that Daniel Jones had to the Giants organization, to the Manning family, is very surprising that people were floored. The flooring part is that we have a GM that does not know how to trade down. Mm-hmm. So that wouldn't have been as shocking had they traded down. I think that then people would have been able to stomach it better, but he obviously doesn't know how to do that. So I am going to trust the organization, trust Judge. Joe Judge, I think, is a phenomenal coach. I think even watching what they did in free agency, it's very hard for I think anyone to argue. I'm sure Cowboys fans will say something different, but it's hard for anyone to argue that the movements are different this year.
Right.
I haven't seen stuff like this happen since far before OBJ. I mean, this system has been very broken. I'm also a realistic Giants fan where I thought we'd win 5 games last year. We won 6.
Well,
awesome.
You almost would have made the playoffs if it wasn't for those Eagles kind of tanking, So,
oh my God.
Right.
Well, whatever. They'll botch it. Watch them. I'm telling everyone, if they draft a quarterback, I will honestly cry laughing so damn hard. I would love that.
Right. I think we all would. I mean, I think last year's draft, the Eagles were kind of laughing stock of the draft. And so I think they were going to try to redeem themselves this year, which we're getting ready to talk about here in a second. But when they traded out 6 to 12, I said, oh, here they go again. And Howie Roseman, I do trust. So let's go ahead and dive into that. I know a lot of people are having a conversation. This is the hot topic button, the NFL draft. So, of course, we're division rivals. So I need to kind of get some insight. What are the Giants thinking as far as this draft going on for this year? And who are some of the guys that you're kind of targeting, hoping to get at the level?
Yeah. So, looking at it, it's like, it's nice because as a Giants fan, this is the first time where I feel like I don't know how you can mess this up.
Okay.
I don't know that it's that there's a way to botch it. Taking a running back is botching it, but that's not going to happen.
Right.
That's just unrealistic. So I think they go one of 2 ways. So it would shock me if they don't take a wide receiver or if they do not take a tackle.
Okay.
That being said, it would be shocking if either of those 2 tackles that are maybe worth top 11 value are there at 11. So I think, it's going to rely a lot on how those first 5 picks go. Then we'll start to see the way that the trend of the draft is going. But I think that you can't go wrong doing either. There is, I don't know what this trading back rumor is or where it came from, but I mean, if he actually trades back, then something's going on. The dude is locked in MetLife in a closet. Okay. There is no way he just doesn't do that. I mean, I think it's been 8, 9 seasons, even when he was with past teams, before he even got to the New York Giants, he does not trade back. It is not his thing. Right. So I think that at that point, their best option is to take the best available player. I don't love the idea of them taking a cornerback. I think you can wait to do that. I think, there's an argument for edge, but there's also an argument that the defense did kind of pull it together and, they went from a 31st defense to a 9th. So can you hold off there and try to address the fact that your offense needs a lot of help? I mean, they barely scored 20 points most games.
Right.
So you need to address it. I think, so they could go either way. And then, you bring up, there's an argument for Micah Parsons, but listen,
let's get that. What is your thoughts? Because Cowboys fans jumped me yesterday about this whole Micah Parsons video that I dropped. So from a Giants perspective, what is your thoughts on Micah Parsons?
Well, the Giants aren't getting him. They haven't drafted. Like, that's not a thing since Carl Banks in 1984. 1984, not 1994, not 2004, not 2014, like literally 1984. So it would be shocking to me if they decide to go Carl Banks on this biatch. So that's shocking. I don't think that that's going to end up happening. I like Micah Parsons a lot. I actually didn't see what you posted. I would love to see it, but I think that wherever he goes, he's going to be a dominant force. You know, people bring up his character, and I get that. But if he goes to a system that has a good coach that can take him on and, you know, shape him and get him right into check, then I don't think it's going to be too much of a concern. He does have ties to the New York Giants, so we'll see. But, you know, it would be surprising to me if they don't go tackle or wide receiver here.
So I think from the tackle perspective, I know that's probably one of our first conversations we had was about Rashawn Slater. So out of the two tackles, which one do you tend to lean towards, Penny Sewell or Rashawn Slater, that you would want in New York if they were to slide? I doubt they would get past us at 10, either or of them, but if they were to slide, who would be your choice? And why? And why?
And this is where I lose the chat.
Okay. Go ahead.
So, you know what? I have them kind of like, if I could put a 1A, 1B, I think is a more fair evaluation of the two. I try to be careful about, you know, releasing my rankings and stuff, but I think that Slater is the 1A. The reason why I think he's the 1A is that I think that he will come into the NFL and he will fit seamlessly. So my problem is I don't like Pac-12 tackles at all. I think that they have a hard time adjusting. I think that especially right now in the Pac-12, he hasn't seen an edge. Like, he hasn't seen guys like Chase Young the way that Slater has. So in that, you know, with the film and the way it looks, Slater has cleaner film. He's just more NFL, right? I see a higher ceiling there. I see a seamless transition into the NFL. And that's no knock to Penny. And I think that a lot of people, they have a hard time realizing that. Penny's going to be fantastic. But I think that Slater is the guy that I think he should be going as the 1A, but he's not going to.
Yeah, I 1,000% agree. And I know, shouts out to my guy Nick, he had a whole kind of argument versus Sewell and Slater. And I think that a lot of people are starting to edge Slater for the exact same reasons you just said, because you feel like he's an instant plug and play. And from the Cowboys perspective, we have our left tackle in Tyron Smith. We also have our right tackle in Lyle Collins, who just posted, you know, he's healthy. But we kind of need that left guard. I mean, Connor Williams, though he played decent last year, he really just isn't that guy, really hasn't came around. So if we're wanting to add a guy that has versatility,
I was just about to say it.
Rashawn Slater is that guy. And a lot of comparisons, and you know, that was kind of the argument amongst Cowboys Twitter today, that he's kind of getting comped to, you know, possibly Zach Martin when he came out of Notre Dame. And so, of course, that's attractive to Cowboys fans.
Yeah.
And so if you're able to add that versatility, I think you have to go with it. And that's knock to Penny Sewell.
And there's nothing I love more. Like, O-line is kind of my thing. It's like my, I get my fix on the O-line. And I think that, you know, especially someone that I don't cry, right? Like, I cry like 2 times a year maximum.
All right.
I sobbed my damn eyes out when we picked Andrew Thomas because I knew it wasn't going to be a seamless transition. I just knew it was going to happen. Right. I like the versatility and the comfort level that I have with Slater, but that versatility, you can't buy that anywhere. And to get a lineman that, you know, it can fit in many molds is very hard to find. And, you know, Penny will be fine, but if you want a guy that's going to come in tomorrow, I think that you go Slater. Penny's going to start. It's no knock on Penny. It's just that, I mean, look at Slater. If you want to see something awesome, watch this dude. We can all agree on this. You want to see Chase Young get shut down, then you draft Slater, because he owned his ass in college.
That's all you need on your resume is that I beat up Chase Young and I own Chase Young. Now, granted, they got blown out that game, but still, one-on-one versus Chase Young, Slater handled himself.
And
for us being the NFC East, if you can get that Chase Young eraser, you have to go with that. So I'm all for the Rashawn Slater. Now, you said a very key thing, and I'm not sure if a lot of Cowboys fans picked up on this. You said you're not about picking a cornerback at 11 because you can get cornerbacks later in the draft. So give me your thoughts on this cornerbacks class this year and why you wouldn't take a cornerback at 11, because they're not going to listen to me because I think you're on the same train that I'm on, which we'll talk about here soon. But I think I'm anti-quarterback. So go ahead and talk to a little bit about the cornerback class.
So I say this a little bit because I feel like I might end up being a chat fan then if that's the case. Like I will admit that a draft that is coming out, somehow I got selected to pick for the Cowboys, which is
Yeah,
hilarious.
who did you pick for?
Let's have the Giants fan pick for the Cowboys.
Right.
That's a so I did pick Surtain for you guys. I will not lie. I did do it. I'm sorry. I just think that giving that secondary. Okay, so Surtain is the only one that I would.
Was that your payback
though.
for us giving you Jason Garrett?
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
But I think that Surtain right there, like giving that secondary a little loving, with a little Surtain loving, I like that for you guys. So. But again, I don't know. It's going to depend a lot on what's available at the time. I think you guys are another team that it's really going to depend at who's still left. How does this draft move? We have no idea what's going to happen.
Right. Right. Yeah, I agree.
I mean, there's things to fill. I don't hate I'm not taking a quarterback because I think our secondary is more secure than your guys'
Right.
is.
Yeah, I'll give you that. Your second's a little bit secure. It's not that much, but it's a little bit more secure than us. And like I've been trying to say, it's no knock to Patrick Surtain. I think he is a decent talent, and I think he will be a decent player in the NFL. But personally, I feel like J.C. Horn kind of gives us that upside that Patrick Surtain doesn't provide. Kind of that rough dog mentality, that that toughness that we've been looking for in the secondary for quite some time. I feel like J.C. Horn gives that. I know they kind of released the video. Are you guys releasing your draft interview videos, or is that just my franchise?
I think it's just yours. I think I saw one thing that was like, I think Micah Parsons sat down with someone is like the only thing I saw, but no, I don't think
the Cowboys have been doing this weird thing. They're releasing all their interviews. So they released
that feels very Jerry Jones.
Yeah, I know. It's still the show. It's still the show. But of course, he just released J.C. Horn today about the conversation they had in the Zoom session. So I mean, guess it's only us guys. We only release our our in-house business. But I feel like J.C. Horn for me personally is that 1A just for that upside potential. But like it's no knock to Patrick Surtain, but if we are able to bypass on the cornerback position, I feel like there's guys in the second round, whether it's Elijah Molden, whether it's Tyson Campbell, where it's maybe Greg Newsome can slide due to a few injuries. One of those guys that you can possibly bring in that can give you the same upside that Patrick Surtain and J.C. Horn already provides. I just don't think that they are the elite of the elite. I feel like it's a thin line between a lot of these cornerback candidates, especially like the top 5. I mean, also if you want to toss in Caleb Farley in that realm as well.
So two things. One thing, Newsome I'm a big fan of. I think that the cornerbacks and the edges. Just starting when I first started looking at film and going through it and going through the rookies, like I was not like overwhelmingly impressed by either of those positions. Like nothing was like, oh my God, this is awesome.
Right.
Like, yeah, it was great. There's really good players, but top 10, top 12, I don't know. Maybe it might be.
Right.
Farley is a huge concern to me. Farley is coming into this league with a back surgery, with ACL surgery. Like this is no, thank you. I want to say he should drop. When he does, and people will be upset about it because he's a fantastic player. And, I know the position, people make the argument, you can decide when you get hit. Listen, in the NFL, if someone decides they want to hit you, they're going to hit you. Exactly. And that's really how it works, So I don't like back injuries coming in. I don't like ACL injuries coming in. That's when you see problems should they tear that ACL again. Then you have a scenario like Todd Gurley, right? Where it doesn't turn out as pretty as expected. Granted, they're different positions, but still. So I think I'm staying away from Farley. I hope you guys don't go that route.
Yeah.
That is
I agree. Yeah, especially for a team that got riddled with injuries last year, we can't afford the risk of bringing in Caleb Farley because we backed ourselves in a corner, literally, where we really don't have an outside corner. So if Caleb Farley is starting, he goes out with the injury, it puts us at a huge, downside.
Right.
So it's like I'm not on Caleb Farley. Now, if he was to slide into the second where we can kind of invest in him and kind of see where his health can kind of go, then I'm perfectly fine. We kind of did that with Jalen Smith and a few other players. I'm okay with that. But at the 10 spot, it's just not worth an investment for me. So I would be remiss if we don't talk about a certain prospect. And I want to get your thoughts because I know everyone knows how I stand on this. What is your thoughts on Kyle Pitts?
Kyle Pitts is the if you held a gun to my head and said, what player in this draft is 100% an actual, and I hate the word, generational talent, Kyle Pitts is the generational talent here. Kyle Pitts is phenomenal, in my opinion. I don't know that he's going to fall. It would be surprising to me if he falls that late, which is, shocking.
Well, he's not falling to you guys. I can tell you that.
Well, I mean, I don't know that he's falling to you guys, to be completely honest, because I think, now we're getting all these discussions. Cardinals are interested in him now. They're in a position they could very much trade up. Falcons could just decide, nope, we're not going to get a quarterback. We're going to go ahead and take Kyle Pitts. Is that a waste? Kind of, yeah, but if they do it, they do it. Right. They're still in the position to. I mean, that's a little bit rich to go that early, but I think it's going to be hard for a lot of these teams to pass him when it gets to them. You get to 5 to 6, and he's still on the board. I can imagine there's a lot of issues going on in the war rooms, because then you're expecting him to be gone, and now you're trying to decide between the player you thought you could get. And then all of a sudden Kyle Pitts is there still. So he is going to be a very interesting conversation. I don't see him slipping that far. If he slips to you guys, and it would be a shame for you not to take him.
Thank you. That's all I want. I wanted a Giants fan to actually say that, because they've been on us, because this whole argument about we have to go defense, we have to go Patrick Surtain. If Kyle Pitts is even there, we can't afford to. And I'm just like, no, you take Kyle Pitts and you figure out the cornerback position later in the draft. Like, you cannot.
My big thing is, like, you don't draft by need. No one has ever gotten anywhere well by drafting by need. If Kyle Pitts is there, you take Kyle Pitts because it's Kyle Pitts. I don't care. Figure it out.
Right.
There's also so much value. There's a lot of very deep value in this rookie class, more than maybe the past couple years. Like, you're going to see guys come out of the 4th and 5th round that are very, very good.
Exactly.
There's a lot of really sneaky guys, but I mean, like Kyle Pitts, you're getting a 2-for-1 there. Is he not that great at blocking? Cool. It doesn't matter. You're getting a wide receiver tight end. That's what you're getting. Like, you teach him how to block then. That's your knock on him, is he can't block that well.
Right.
Like, I don't care. Then teach him how to block. I think someone
Coach.
in the NFL can manage to teach him how to block.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
Figure it out. So I think that, like, it would be awesome. I mean, that would suck. I would hate for Pitts to end up on, God forbid, on the Cowboys, on the Eagles. Like, no, thank you.
Yep.
But again, I am a huge Dak Prescott fan. I adore the crap out of him. Watching him get injured last year broke my heart, especially after Jerry Jones was being a little jerk in the media, saying he'll never be Patrick, whatever the hell he said.
Right.
And then he gets hurt like 2 weeks later. So I'm very much on the Dak. I was always high on Dak. So for Dak to have Kyle Pitts, that's awesome. I can't hate on it, as again, I'm a realistic fan that likes football in general. So I like to watch good football. So I think that if Dak were to get that extra security, from a fantasy perspective, just know everyone though.
Right.
Those skill players aren't looking so hot. Okay.
Right.
Then we can bring Zeke into the question there. But I think that it would be a good move. I just don't see him falling that low.
Well, we got to stay hopeful and optimistic, And here's my idea. Okay. If the Falcons pass on him, then I think we are in the ballpark. We might have to consider a possible trade up. I think the Bengals taking they'll probably take a tackle or Chase. So I think Chase might be the first kind of weapon off the board, if not a tackle. And then you kind of get in the conversation about, the Dolphins. What are they really after? And it's like, could they go with Pitts? Absolutely, because it would make sense. But do they go with the Devontae Smith, or do they go with the Jalen Waddle, someone that Tua's custom with playing at Alabama? So that's kind of the conversation. And then you get into Detroit. I'm kind of thinking that they might go Parsons. I think this might be where Parsons go. I think they might look to go defense. And then it's Carolina. Sam Darnold, do you want to protect? Do you want to get a Rashawn Slater? What do you really want to bring in? So it's going to be a lot of prayers and wishes next Thursday, y'all, but I'm not giving up. We've been riding this train for so long. So a lot of people who watch my channel, they know since like day one, as soon as we started Draft Talk, it was Kyle Pitts. We never thought it was going to evolve to this, right? But here we are, and it's like, all right, draft day is next week, so it's time to finally, reel them on in. I see all the pitch trains going on in the chat, man. All aboard.
You know what the beauty is, though, that there's one thing that, and a lot of people don't realize this. You know what the beauty is in this Cowboys, Giants, Eagles sandwich that we have in this draft? Is Washington can't trade up. They're going to have to trade up pretty damn far to try and get someone.
Exactly.
So then they've almost screwed themselves. You take on Fitz, which is great. I mean, we're kind of in trouble just because it's Fitz, whatever. I'm not super high on him. The bottom line is Fitz is older in the league. He hasn't started 16 games since 2015. I have to see him play 4 quarters of 16 games, and then I'll say that was a great idea. I thought taking someone on like Winston would have been an awesome idea. Someone that's a little bit younger that definitely has the potential that you can work with. So if they don't go in and get their guy, they're just going to be Washington again.
Yeah.
Because then you put yourself in a bad position. Great. What do you guys do? You make a run for it, and then what happens to your draft position next year? And then what do you do? Especially with the quarterback class so deep this year, but then we kind of block them out. Like,
right, exactly. You have to pay that premium to come up.
Right. Yeah. And I don't think any of us will. No one's going to make a move to allow them to come up. So they'd have to jump past all of us or hope that someone like Mac Jones falls. It's an interesting move by Washington there. So we will see how that goes. But
I have a great question from my guy Mendoza. So he asked, who is your pet cat? So who is one of these guys, prospects, that is just like your person that no one's really talking about, but that's your guy? Give us a few.
Yeah, you guys want to know who my guy is? This is a name that you've either heard of because I've been forced to get down everyone's throats, or there's 2 guys. So my main guy though is Jalen Darden.
Okay.
He is a phenomenal football player. If he gets the opportunity that he deserves, he's a smaller dude, 100%. I just said on my show the other day, I had Jake Seeley on, and he was saying he reminds him of trying to catch a fly in a house.
Right.
It's very hard to catch him, but if you catch him, you'll crush him, kind of thing.
Exactly.
But he's very shifty, very smart, great football IQ. He led the NCAA in a lot of areas, and I just love what he's able to do on the football field. And I think that he has it in him to be a stud in the NFL. So that's one of my main guys. Another one is Rashad Bateman is another one. Monty Rice, I'm a huge fan of. Tight end Trey McKitty is another one that a lot of people sleep on because he didn't do very well in the beginning of his college career. But, and he's a little bit slower. But with my tight ends, I'm not really worried about you being that fast. I'd rather you be big bodied and just run people over kind of thing. He protects the ball very well. And I think he's another one. But again, what stinks is once you get into the lower rounds, it's going to depend a lot on the system that they end up in.
Exactly. And there's a lot of teams with a lot of picks. I know we have 10. I think you guys are a little bit shorter when we did our mock, the NFC East mock the other night. But I definitely agree with Jalen Darden out of North Texas. He's the guy. I took him Tuesday night in our mock, and they gave me a C- on that grade. I was like, I don't care, I'm gonna take him. And so he's available. And North Texas has put out some great wide receivers. I think about one of my favorites coming out a few years ago in Jalen Guyton, that's with the Chargers now, but he came to the Cowboys. And so explosive is the same thing he said about Darden. I mean,
awesome.
Yeah, it's one of those.
The shiftiest player I think I've seen in a really long time come out. He's shifty. I mean, it's very hard to catch him.
Right.
He has a little Devontae Smith in him to that aspect where it's he has good body control. And I love that in a wide receiver that's smaller.
Right.
So then I'm sure we'll end up talking about it. But, I think that these guys that are smaller, if they have good body control and they can get separation and they're shifty and they have a good football IQ, I don't really care that they're smaller because you're not going to get them.
But great segue. Great segue, because I saw on Twitter you muted BMI because a lot of people were talking about height and measurables. And me personally, I'm just like you. I'm tired of hearing about measurables. This guy is too short. We're at an amusement park to play football. They've been playing the game all their life. So I have some names listed. Some of my favorite guys, and feel free to toss in some more. So Ardarius Washington out of TCU. I know a lot of people are kind of knocking him because of his height. I'm a Florida State Seminole. My guy Mendoza is a Florida State Seminole. My guy Asante Samuel, who I believe is the best cornerback in this year's draft. But they kind of knock him because he's 5'10". He doesn't meet the kind of 6 foot height requirement. You mentioned Devontae Smith. There's kind of some issues with his weight going on about him being a dynamic receiver, being able to play at the next level. And then also one of my personal favorites is Tutu Atwell out of Louisville. Now, I'll say this about my guy Tutu. 145. that's very light. That's that's not even a fly. It's kind of like a gnat. But I feel like he's dynamic. The same thing you said about Darden. I feel like Tutu Atwell could bring that, especially to Dallas, because we don't have that shifty speed guy with their offense. And then another guy I kind of tossed in there who I feel like his measurables are kind of knocking him down is Nick Bolton, the linebacker out of Missouri. I think they kind of want this 6 foot measurement for linebackers. So a lot of these guys that I like, they're kind of shorter guys, and I call them my Ant-Man. But I feel like they're going to be they could be a dynamic player. So who are some other guys that kind of think like you don't meet that height requirement, those measurables, but you think is going to have an impact on Sunday?
Wow, you nailed a lot of them. It's funny that you bring up Nick Bolton. Him and Asante are 2 guys that I just added to my film list. So for a while, it was kind of just like breaking things down. And if I didn't, if that player's name wasn't on the list, I was looking at, I just added the 2 of them. So I haven't seen a lot of their stuff. I've heard really good things about Nick Bolton though. And again, like, this is what I say, I say it about Devontae Smith. Here's the thing with Devontae Smith. Everyone's acting like this is just your average player coming in to the NFL draft. He is not an average player. He is not an above average player. He is an exceptional football player that is going to be phenomenal. And I don't care at what, it's not like a normal, like him and Calvin Ridley are only off, Calvin Ridley's BMI when he entered the combine. Like, I'm not saying now, I understand.
Right.
But like, if you look at their BMIs, it's off. I tried to find the tweet today, still can't find it. But it's like, I think they were only off by 1.2 or something crazy. Like, it's not, and Devontae Smith is done.
They can't gain any weight at the NFL level, I guess, for a lot of
people.
Right.
It's like, you think they can't get these guys, like some, like a nutritionist to like gain some weight. I just feel like it's a little foolish, but I mean, Jalen Darden's another one. And then, Tutu, is getting he's getting a lot of attention now, especially because now people are like trying to take the attention off of Devontae, and then they're putting it onto Tutu, which is so unfair.
Right. Like, oh, well, look at Devontae. Well, look at Tutu. He's 145.
Yeah, but look at him. Yeah.
So,
Marquise Brown wasn't that big when he entered either.
I think he was like 150 something. Marquise Brown was.
He was like almost the same exact. I think his measurements were almost exactly the same, but people don't talk about that stuff enough. Right. And here's the thing. Devontae Smith is better than Marquise Brown.
He's far better than Marquise Brown.
Exactly. So that's where it's crazy. Like, if we're talking about an average player that's coming in at that size, yes, I understand the concern. One, BMI doesn't take on muscle mass. There's a lot more that goes into it. Right. I mean, they're even like being someone that was, in medicine is, like, we don't even look at BMI anymore unless you're actually overweight. And then it's like a metric that you use to like have yourself lose weight. But there's so much more that goes into it. It's such an old fashioned procedure now because it doesn't account for so many other things. So he can gain the weight. I mean, like 8 pounds is no biggie.
Exactly.
He can do that in a professional level, Like
I said, I'll need Tutu Atwell. I'll take him to Pluckers in Dallas, y'all. I'll give him some wings. We'll put the weight on him. But I am not concerned because, like you already said, for a lot of these receivers, from the aspect, you can't hit what you can't catch. And so if you're putting them in motion, you're putting them in different packages, you can't really press them. And so you only got 5 yards to really get them off their route. And if you don't, it's see you later. So I have no concerns about Devontae Smith, whether you want to toss Jalen Waddle and that same. I think Waddle's like 175-ish, but still.
Was it Tutu? I was listening to an interview. I think it was Tutu, actually. Was it him or was it? I don't think it was Chuba Hubbard because he's a big boy, so I don't think that was him. But I don't want to say back in the day, it wasn't that long ago, but I listened to a lot of XM NFL radio. That's kind of my go-to. And like they were joking around because, 10, 15 years ago, they wanted running backs to be small.
Right.
Like that put you at an advantage to be a shorter dude. Like that made you very attractive to a lot of teams. And now all of a sudden they want these like behemoth running backs. But it's crazy because that's not the normal, back in the day, they thought that was a much better fit for a running back. So it's weird Zeke, how the narrative swapped.
Zeke gains weight and everyone's like, oh, Zeke needs to lose weight. He needs to be a lot smaller. But it's like, okay, well then you draft bigger running. I think like a lot of people are fickle when it comes to certain players. They just don't know what they really want. They just want impact. And I feel like these guys that we've been listing, they're going to add impact to any NFL team. I'm not really concerned about their weight and their measurables, especially Nick Bolton. Nick Bolton is one of my favorite linebackers, so definitely check him out. And then also my guy, Asante Samuel Jr. I think once you watch him, you're going to think like, if he was 6'1", 6'2", these other cornerbacks that we're talking about wouldn't even be in the conversation. Maybe I'm a little biased, but I feel like I can stand by that kind of. But think about Jair Alexander. Think about what Antoine Winfield Jr. Like, he's not 6 foot. There's players that come in and they can play on Sunday and still have an impact. So before I let you go, we gotta address fantasy football, of course.
Yeah.
So for people, if you got fantasy football questions, go ahead, because we got to get early, because we got to win our leagues, man. I can't have y'all out here watching my channel getting dog walking in your leagues. We got to rep, right? So last year I took second, unfortunately, but I had a lot of injuries. I had to make things happen. So I'm in a keeper league. I have Pat Mahomes. I got Travis Kelce. I had Deshaun Watson. And then I have CeeDee Lamb, Cole Beasley, and Raheem Mostert, and one other random running back. So for my keeper league for next year, I get to keep 2 people. Who do you think I should keep?
Well, you're definitely you said Kelce, right?
Yeah, I got Kelce.
Okay, definitely keep Kelce. Listen, anyone that, first of all, I'm a little bit of a tight end crazy person. But at the same time, like, we're in this weird era where tight ends are not what they maybe used to be, and they're kind of what is that saying, far and few between, or whatever the hell my dad and mother say. So like there's 3 tight ends that are really worth having. It's Kelce, Kittle, and Waller. And then honestly, like in my rankings, I'm taking Pitts before anyone else. You're not going to tell me that Hawkinson is going to be better than Pitts. I'm not going to buy into it. So, keeping a tight end and knowing that you have that secure is huge, because there's a huge drop off in points after the first 3 or 4. I mean, the amount of points drops off tremendously. I mean, like, it's like going from having double digits to only getting sometimes 8 points a week. So keeping your tight end is a massive. So I would keep a tight end, and if it's a keeper league, you could keep Mahomes, or do you keep CeeDee Lamb though? Right. That's a little bit interesting. I don't like Mostert, whatever. I always pronounce it.
I had my running backs were horrible. I had Mostert, Tony Pollard, Gallman. Yeah, my running backs was.
So Pollard is a little bit sneaky. I know as a Cowboys fan, you might disagree with me. I love him. I'm getting him so late in dynasty leagues, startup leagues, and I am like excited about it. But the thing with Mostert, I don't like him because they just picked up Gallman, and I think that he could potentially take over that entire role there.
And Mostert has injury issues too as well. So
yeah, exactly. So I don't like Mostert anyway. I fade away from. So I think what you need to do though is you need to address a running back the second that you can or get in there.
And that's the hard part. Yeah, because I had Deshaun Watson, and I didn't honestly know that Pat Mahomes was going to be released. So I'm sitting there with the pick, and I see Pat Mahomes. Well, I just drafted Pat Mahomes. Like, I'm taking Pat Mahomes and Travis Kelce. And so I literally had Deshaun Watson and Pat Mahomes. So now I can get rid of Watson, and I can just roll on with Mahomes and Kelce. And
I think you should do it. I think that knowing the uncertainty that is tight ends and quarterbacks in this next year, I think you keep what you know is great. And then again, like, you could always pick up CD again if you wanted to.
Right.
I mean, there's a lot of wide receivers that can get, I'm a big, like, I don't take wide receivers until late. I'll go running back, tight end, quarterback all day. And then I just wait, because there's a lot of value in those wide receivers, like later on in drafts. So I'm all for keeping a tight end. And if you have someone like Mahomes, I mean, you got to keep, it's hard to not. Yeah. You can.
I'm going to go ahead and send that text like, hey, keep Mahomes, keep Kelce, over everything. and maybe I can
Yeah.
come back and get CD, but I was very high on CD. So you mentioned Kyle Pitts, but who was another rookie that you think can explode fantasy-wise? We kind of saw what Jefferson did last year. I mean, CD was showing traces of that before Dak went down. So anyone you can probably keep your eye on, or should we wait and kind of see where they get drafted first?
So I really like Javonte Williams. I was really hoping that he would go to the 49ers. I just don't think, obviously, that's going to happen anymore, but I think that he's someone to keep an eye out for, someone that I do adore. So I'm trying to give like a little bit more than just your normal, basic, boring people that you could have any guest on to regurgitate, the top 10 players. So someone that a lot of people don't talk about is Elijah Moore, who I think that if he goes somewhere like the Packers and he gives Aaron Rodgers the opportunity to spread the field more, that's beautiful. That's a beautiful match there. Even somewhere like the Patriots, it wouldn't even be that bad. I think the Patriots won't end up with a wide receiver, but still, I think that he's someone that has that dynamic ability to do very well. Freiermuth, don't sleep on some of these other tight ends either, because we're not in a good tight end situation across the league. So I'm taking like a rookie tight end before I'm taking some of these guys like Hunter Henry. Jonnu Smith is good. I know he's not a rookie, but Jonnu Smith is a good pickup. They're going to do a lot of 12 personnel over there. He's going to get a lot of the targets. I love Jonnu Smith, especially if you can snag him in one of these later rounds on people that are sleeping on him. But as far as rookie goes, I really think that, Pitts is the guy to get if you can. And then, these running backs too.
She's clearly on the pitch
train. I have been. He's not a normal specimen, He's not normal. That's the same thing with Devontae Smith, though, that people don't realize. Like, that guy, watch his film. It's not a normal, like, his capability is so high because he's already ready to go to the NFL. So imagine when he gets like the time, the experience. And, we see this, it's a tale as old as time where people start sleeping on guys like Smith, and that's fine. Let him drop to 11. I would love my Giants to pick him up. That's fine.
So is Smith your wide receiver one? Because I have a different wide receiver one.
I don't know if he's my wide receiver one. I think that he almost is there. Jamar Chase is still there. I see the reason. I see the argument for him at wide receiver one. So I don't feel the same way about like Slater and Penny. Like, I think for me, it's very clear. But I can get behind Jamar being the wide receiver one. But I can't get behind the argument that Waddle is ahead of Smith. That I'm not getting behind. But a lot of that's why, these people get crazy with their rankings, especially football people. But because there's a very big difference between football and fantasy football.
Right.
But I am still putting Smith ahead of Waddle. So it would be Chase, Smith, and then Waddle. But then, there's a lot of room for who the hell knows what's going to happen in those. But there's a lot of wide receivers. Like, there's probably 20 wide receivers that you could make a solid argument that they could be a wide receiver one.
Yep, deep class.
Very deep.
So before I let you go, Steph, FTN bets, I gotta put you 2 quick questions, right? I'm gonna put you on the spot. Kyle Pitts right now, next Thursday, is 5.5 over and under for his draft, right? Draft spot selection. Do you take the under or would you take the over?
Wow, that's a difficult one, huh?
I know. I looked at it. I was like, kind of.
I think quarterbacks are still going to end up running this scenario. I think it's more likely that the Falcons trade down than they take Pitts over a quarterback, because I think that they can still get someone, one of those sleeper quarterbacks. You look at Trask, you look at what's his name, Mills or whatever his name is, and so maybe they could still get some value later on. So I'm going to take the under here. I think, it's hard for me to say that, but I think him going somewhere between, I think he'll go before 10, but it's going to make things messy for the rest of the draft.
It is. It's going to be fun. If he starts to slide, they're going to be showing Jerry Jones and everything to go on. So one last question. I'm going to put you on the spot. It's Thursday night. You got the card in your hand. You're about to make the draft pick for the New York Giants. So got you queued up. Hold on, let me get your draft.
Oof. So who's left, though? Can I pick anyone?
Make your pick.
Okay. So my 2 most realistic picks are that's probably something Gettleman would do, is mess up his words, is probably Slater or Smith. And in that scenario, I would take Smith, which is very unlike me. And Giants
Why?
fans,
O-line?
very,
Like, O-line,
I
you
know,
love O-line,
I know.
but you would take Devontae Smith over Rashawn
I'm
Slater?
also a girl that really watches, like, I watch a lot of these, like, there's guys like, you know, what Sam caught, like, what was the guy from Texas?
Kosemi?
Yeah, like his film is great. You know, the one from Liam from Notre Dame. There's Leatherwood is another one. I mean, not all of them would fit the scheme as well. You know,
Right.
Slater is really perfect. I just really don't think either of those guys are going to be there. If these teams care about their like quarterbacks that are ahead of our teams, I think that they're gone. You don't pass on an O lineman. That's like my rule. So if Slater is there, hopefully Smith is also not there. But I think that, you know, you can't pass on no lineman though. Oh God.
After all you said about getting no line,
but
that's the hard part, because you get these, you know, you gotta need, but there's these weapons that kind of fall to you, and you're like, all right, I'll get the weapon and I'll just take care of this other stuff.
You know, there's Elijah Vera Tucker is another one that a lot of people talk about. He's like actually, so I like cross off on my film list when I'm like going through stuff so I can go to the next person. And I'm going back to rewatch his stuff because when I first watched, like I'll watch film, but then I won't continue to watch it at the pace that I watched like Slater, because I'm very intrigued.
Exactly.
So there's a reason why. I don't know why. I honestly don't have that many notes on him either, but like Elijah Vera Tucker, obviously for some reason I didn't continue watching his film. I'm not positive why that was, but I wasn't as impressed as some of, you know, there's some really late round value too. So what do you do there? You know, you get a guy that's like Smith, or do you go and, I mean, the O-line needs another guy, but then you can make the argument, Solder's coming back. Matt Pert should be starting. I don't know what the hell is going on over there. They won't do that. You took two, you know, you took Thomas and Pert. What is the problem?
Right.
Like, yeah, I feel like it's at this point, you should be at least trying to get these guys ready to go and into the game. So I think that it makes more sense to like trade down if you're going to get a tackle almost, but you know, we know Getty, he won't do that.
Yeah. I'm anti team trade back. I guess it's all fan bases for some weird reason. Like trade back is the new random thing that everyone wants to trade back. We have 10 picks, but we can trade back and we can get 3 more picks. Then we have 13 picks and we can use those picks.
What? So you can get what? 4 5th rounders? Like, please. You know, I agree with you. I don't think that, I don't know why, you know, as long as you're a team that's in a good place. So like if you're a team like, for example, our beloved Eagles, that's kind of, you know, I don't know how the Eagles don't lose this year. Like, I don't know how they are in a position to get anywhere other than 4th in the NFC division. Like I literally genuinely don't see how that's possible unless they have a beautiful draft. So maybe they will, maybe they won't. But if I'm someone like them, if I'm someone like the Bears, if I'm someone like the Lions, you know, maybe I am trading back, get a little bit more capital, add some more depth to your rosters, but not if you're a team like the Cowboys, not if you're a team like the New York Giants, not if you're even Washington, you know, if you're right there, not Miami. Right. I mean, Miami's in a good spot because they have like 1 million picks, but you have to know your team. Like at that point, just take the best possible player that you can.
Exactly. Because I feel like from the Cowboys standpoint, we really wasn't supposed to be picking at 10, but Dak Prescott went down, whatever happened. And so here we are. So let's just take advantage of it, add an elite weapon, and then move on from next year, because hopefully we should be back, you know, being competitive next year when Dak comes back. And I see Kenneth talked about Cameron McGrone. Go check out my video. I dropped the video. Cameron McGrone was like my very first pet cat video, a guy that I fell in love with. His pro day wasn't kind of but if you're able to get him in the late rounds, he's out of Michigan linebacker. So go ahead and check out that video, Kenneth. Like Cameron McGrone was one of my guys I fell in love with. Watching film at 3 a.m. This draft process, y'all, has been exhausting. Just like she said, like watching film, studying tape, getting your mocks ready. It's been exhausting. So Thursday night, I'm ready to kick back, just relax and let it go. So
I'm ready for it to be done. You know, I got to see this year was hard too. There's way less film than there is normally in the past. Like it's like really hard to break it down too. So That's why I feel, a little biased. And for a while, I was even avoiding the quarterback situation because I was like, dude, I saw what happened to Sam Darnold. I don't really give a shit. And
right.
then I finally I have to address the quarterbacks, and then you start seeing everything. But this was a hard year to evaluate, I will admit.
Yeah. You guys know me, man, because we were going through this whole thing with Dak Prescott, and I was just like resenting looking at a quarterback. And then finally, one of my friends, shouts out to Rome from Cowboys Fan Talk, he's like, man, you might want to look at these quarterbacks. And I started watching Zach Wilson first because I'm familiar with Trevor Lawrence because, like I said, I'm an ACC guy. And I started hating Zach Wilson for no reason because I'm just like, he's not Dak Prescott. Like, I don't like this kid. Like, get him out of my sight. And so now I can kind of just exhale a little bit now that Dak signed. Watch Zach Wilson. I think he's going to be a talent in New York, and I can kind of breathe a little bit. But I hated this kid because he looks like the prototypical Dallas Cowboy player. And I saw the comps were kind of to Tony Romo. I said, oh, no, do not put that in Jerry Jones's head because he can possibly trade up for this guy. I'm out. So I'm glad.
Please, don't get Jerry Jones started.
Don't get Jerry Jones started. We all know that. We all know that. Well, Steph,
it's funny though. Before we wrap up here, and I watch this is how I lose the chat now because I think I've done a good job. Like, am I in everyone's good graces? I'm trying to.
Everyone's good.
It's very nice. Maybe you guys are who I thought you were.
Like I said, those other Cowboys fans, I don't know them, but these are my people.
Yeah. You know who reminds me of Dak coming in though?
Who?
And I don't do comps, but there's a few glimmers that do remind me of Dak. It's Justin Fields. Every once in a while on film, I don't know what it is. I think it's like his ability to be mobile, but then he's not necessarily like a totally mobile guy, but he's smart. The way he reads the field is very Dak-like. I don't know. Something about him gives me Dak vibes. I don't think he's as ready as Dak. I think Dak is one of my favorite quarterbacks. He's awesome. I love watching him play. But I do get some Dak vibes from Fields. So it'll be interesting to see where he ends up.
And I think Justin Fields is going to come in this year with a huge chip on his shoulder. He's kind of been hearing the talk because I see that's probably why he did the second pro day, because for some reason I think they kind of released some medical stuff about him, which I didn't even know you could possibly do. But it's always been something that's kind of nitpicking Justin Fields. So I feel like he's going to be one of those guys that comes in with a chip on his shoulder, and if he falls into the right team, Lord forbid if he goes to the Patriots and that's Belichick's guy, like he can definitely do some damage. So I definitely like Justin Fields. Trevor Lawrence is kind of the interesting case because I said if Trevor Lawrence would have did his job and maintained the hype, there was a possibility that Kyle Pitts could slide to us, but he didn't do his job. And so a tight end was the most talked about prospect. And here we are, got to fight and pray and hope and wish on Thursday because Trevor Lawrence was just quiet and said, you know what, I'm not competing with anybody. I don't have a chip on my shoulder. I was like, stop being so boring, man. I need some more hype. So we shall see.
We got to watch out I'm telling you, wherever Justin Fields goes though, like it's something about, it's that confidence in your accuracy that Dak has always had. He's kind of like, you can tell he's that player. Like when it's time for him to make that pass, he finds the connection. He places the ball where it needs to be, and he's confident with it. It's almost like nothing else is happening on the field, and it's just him and the receiver. And I see that in Justin Fields, where he has that calm nature to him. Whereas like someone like Wilson gives me, panicky vibes.
Exactly.
He's a little panicky. I don't like that. Right. I don't like panicky.
Yeah, exactly. Because he's going to trust his arm too much. And we went through that so many years in Dallas. I mean, we all love Tony Romo, but sometimes you trust your arm too much and you're just like, what were you thinking? Why did you do that? Because you thought you could force in that tight window and you threw it in the triple coverage. So we shall see. So Steph, I definitely appreciate you taking the time to come on. So once again, for everyone, tell everybody where they can find all of your stuff. I know they've been asking in the chat, like Twitter and all this stuff. Tell them where they can find you at.
Yeah, you guys can find me at Stephie Smalls with 3 L's on Twitter. And then everything that I do is basically on there. I'm with FTN Network. I just dropped my new show 2 weeks ago. Second episode is out this week with them, and kind of like picking up the pace there and doing, a bunch of shows. I do a lot of injury stuff, which is interesting. And not everyone covers. My injury stuff is pretty accurate. That's one thing, like Dak would do with his confidence is accuracy. My confidence is in my injury reports. I do a pretty good job in evaluating them. So I'm looking forward to getting back into my injury stuff. But, I do cover a lot of fantasy, a lot of betting is my new thing. I don't know if you should be following my betting, but yeah, soon.
Yeah.
But soon.
We'll see. I'll see how this over and under goes on this pitch thing before I start following your betting advice. So, but yeah,
But it was a blast. Thanks for having me. Thanks to everyone for being kind. I was a little nervous, but I'm glad.
Like I said, the Cowboys fans who watch my channel, like I said, they're good people. So like I said, anytime someone comes on our channel, they're your family. So your family now, we'll definitely have to have you back. And best of luck to all your success. Like I said, you're hardworking, you're climbing, you're causing chaos on Twitter. I like it. You know, you stand by yourself and you don't take no crap, man. So I definitely appreciate it. And we'll work on these claws.
Come on, I know, you know.
We'll work on these claws.
I'm sorry you hated it. I led you wrong.
No, it's not bad. It wasn't one of those things, you know, when people hand you a shot, and you're just like, oh, okay, and kind of,
yeah,
it wasn't that.
So I don't know. You did the mango. I would have picked the black cherry, but you do you.
Okay, all right. And for guys who tune into my channel for the first time, I appreciate you. Cowboys fans only. Comment, like, subscribe. This community is growing. I appreciate even those Cowboys fans only. We welcome all fans. And then also follow me on Twitter, of course, at jtuck151. And for your Cowboys fan, if you know Cowboys fans, cowboysfansonly.com to get your CFO merch. The store is growing. The support is growing. Everything is growing. And we are 7 days away from draft day. Pitch train, we almost have arrived, man. So I appreciate each and every one of you guys. I want everyone to have a good night. Stay safe, stay blessed, stay encouraged, and go Cowboys. Go. No.
Let's just cheer against the
Eagles.
Eagle.
Boo Eagles. Boo Eagles. We'll do that. I appreciate everyone for
tuning in. The Eagles losing.
Yeah, Eagles losing. You're right. Exactly. That's exactly what it was for.